Let's go live. Hello, everyone. How's it going? We are live. And our reaction. And we're live. How's everybody doing tonight? It's Saturday. Here we are. Just trying to get things. Go away. Go away. There we go. Go away. There we go. Got things popping up that shouldn't be popping up. I've had that problem before. Anyways, how's everybody doing? We'll wait for people to get on here. It is not April the 1st, April Fool's Day. Not a big fan of April Fool's Day. I don't know about the rest of you, but tricking people, even for the littlest thing, ain't that fun to me. I don't know. Never been a big prankster. I don't know about the rest of you. But here we are. I got some painting done. I got the aggressors done that I started last week. That was good. They're done up. I threw that up on the Instagrams and a bunch of the Facebook groups I belong to. And thanks to the fact that I can actually use the community tab now, I posted there as well because that's awesome. So I'm using that. I'm learning how to use that more and more because I want to be able to communicate and share with you guys a lot more I have been able to in the past. So let's make so this week. I've actually already started it, but I've got one of the Gear Guts Odd Bruiser. I think it's B. So basically their version of Weird Boy. I'm doing this up for a challenge, April's challenge on. See, I have to remind myself the name because my brain no worky. And I use my phone for everything. Who was it? Yeah, the Gorka Morka, that's it. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Braid. So we'll do that challenge up. So I'm going to get him painted up right now. All I have really done so far is he's been built, primed, and the base coat of flesh has been applied to him. That's pretty much it at this point. That's I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but yeah, it's just the green on the skin. Yeah, the rest is that's the starting point for now. Is we're going to get more of the skin done because I got to get that skin, and I am a silly man, and I will be back in 1 second. I can get some water and some paper towels. I forgot to get those. Give me 1 second. Well, that's slightly embarrassing. I forgot to get myself some paper towel. I just use basic paper towel. It's nice tap water, what I need. Get situated here. Kid just mean, hey, Red Green, it's not Binky the Clown. I want you guys to see this. This is what I still carry my brushes in, even though I don't actually have any silver brushes here, but I've had this particular plastic holder since, good Lord, I don't even know when. Forever ago. It's at least 2000. Gainsbourg Shop Limited 2000. So I've had this piece of plastic here with this backing for at least 23 years now. Wow, I'm old. Like I'm saying, we're going to be painting this up. We got lots to talk about with all the new 40K stuff because there's been so much just crazy cool stuff coming out about that. Yeah, no, I got my wife got me a whole ton of brushes, and they are fantastic. But I still use that. I actually just, I think it was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday I just threw out the tank brush I had because the glue, and I glued it several times already. Games Workshop, I'm not sure what their brushes are like now, but back in the day, the metal part here was actually glued to the handle, and I glued a bunch. It fell off. The brush itself just wasn't good anymore, so I actually threw it out. It was the last one from that particular set. So yeah, that was it. It was kind of a big deal yesterday. Gone once and for all. But yeah. No, but I was saying there's a ton of stuff to talk about. Let's bring it up here if I can. Bunch of stuff, which is cool because a lot of it is really cool news, and it's got me cautiously to see South Park. Yeah, I saw that. That was hilarious. I love that. It doesn't surprise me that they would know what it is or they'd have fun with it. Those guys have always been a bit on the nerdy side, quote unquote. But I mean, it's gotten so much bigger now than it ever was when I was younger. It's so much more to it. Obviously, with the internet now, it's become worldwide, far more than it ever was before. Well, even in 2008, 2009, I was working here Games Workshop. I could walk through the whole mall that we were in, and I'd get maybe 4 or 5 people who know what the heck we were talking about, and they would probably be on the way to store as I was leaving to ask people. Now it's become so much more with the video games, and I mean you have Henry Cavill talking about it. That's some pretty big endorsement there for. If that didn't bring a few people in, nothing else, nothing would. That type of him going, yeah, whatever. Like when he was talking about, he was on the set for, I think he was talking about Witcher stuff. He's like, hey, can I just say this for a minute? You won't know what I'm talking about. But that lighting up there looks like a Blackstone Fortress. Like everybody who knew what a Blackstone Fortress had freaked out. It's like, oh my god, he's this big guy, and he's so it's gotten so huge. But yeah, it's so much bigger than it was. It's great. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad, and I'm glad that they made Randy Marsh look like an idiot for sort of making fun of it, because you should never make fun of someone's stuff, whatever they find geeky. It's not cool. So right now I'm just doing the second layer of skin there. My brother, Mythos, Frost and Fist, how's it going, my friend? I'm glad you're here. Glad you could make it. Just talking about how South Park showed up with some 40K on their latest episode, and it's some really cool stuff there. Lots of 40K stuff to talk about today, because I'm cautiously optimistic that this could fix a lot of problems with 40K right now. The new way of mustering your army and all this selecting your faction. Romley before, yes. That was, yes. I have a cool 6 degrees of separation story with Robin Williams. The boss I had when I worked at Games Workshop worked at a Games Workshop store in Toronto that Robin Williams dropped by it. So he got to meet Robin Williams. This is back in the mid 90s. He got to meet Robin Williams. So he was there. He joked around. Apparently he was like full on, just that's how he was. But yeah, no, he did. He had a whole bunch of stuff. Not right after, but a little while after he died. I remember seeing that. It brought me to tears when his daughter, I believe it was Zelda. There you go. He named his daughter after one of the most famous, video game characters in the world. But she went online, and the response to the community was just beautiful. She's like, "What is all stuff?" And it wasn't. It was like just an outpouring of love. So it was great. That's what the community needs to stand for all the time. That is beautiful, yeah. But as I was saying, it's good that I think the 40K changes are going to be cool. I think they're going to make things better for everybody in terms of ease of using your army. I like the fact that we're going to have these data cards. As much as I've over the last little while been like, why do we have so many cards? This is like, it's a miniature game. Why is everybody getting cards now? But I think in the grand scheme of things, being able to just bring the cards you need at that time for the army you're playing is going to make things so much easier. And I sincerely hope to God we've seen the end of multi-book armies, like having to play Space Wolves or Dark Angels or Blood Angels. Having to have 2 books in order to play the army is ridiculous. I think I talked about this last time back in 3rd. You had you did have a Space Marine Codex and a Blood Angel Codex. The Blood Angels only had like the units that it had fluff, and only the Blood Angel, Dark Angel, Space Wolf specific units. Everything else is, but again, those codexes were like magazine thin, right? Titan from Armcast itself say it's those old Titans, the armor cast stuff was really expensive back in the day. It's crazy, super crazy expensive, yeah. But I hope these changes make things simpler. I think the fact that you will have a lot less to carry around is going to be amazing. So let's see here. They said how it works. I'm just looking at the website here. Mustering army. So you select your battle size, start your army roster, choose a faction, select detachment rules, select units, and promote your warlord. Pretty simple stuff. Army size will be Incursion, which is 1,000 points, Strike Force 2,000, and Onslaught, which is 3,000. They say 500-point games are still perfectly possible, but apparently the core rules are optimized for better than that. Although they do mention that the combat patrol, I think, we'll probably see return of combat patrols. Now, what exactly that means, who knows? And obviously, they're still keeping the boarding actions around, so you're going to have those tight, close combat, or close quarter, really limited army lists. And then, of course, you're going to have the combat patrol, which is basically everything you need to play a basic game. Rosters and army roster, you can download them or use the app. Right. Big thing is select detachment rules. I have a feeling this is going to be one of the ways that obviously it's going to be the major buildup of how you want to build your army. Now, obviously, it could be what it is like now, where you have a fast attack one, or one that is more towards elites, and one that's more towards troop choices, whatever you want to use. So it'll choose a single set of attachments from army. These will include special abilities, enhancements, stratagems, and unit restrictions. I think that's going to play into picking your units. But they said like the Gladius Strike Force for the Adeptus Astartes is back. This was something that was this is something that we had back in 7th edition and before, where you had a certain set of rules and bonuses you got for this. So you get the Moment Army rule, which they haven't put out yet. It allows you to use a combat doctrines abilities. And I think this is going to feed into picking units, because they say at least one character, max one of each epic hero. So I'm assuming that named characters are now going to be called epic heroes. Up to 3 of the same data sheet, up to 6 of the same battle line or dedicated transports. So I have a feeling whatever detachment you take may change what your battle line or dedicated transports might be. And again, that's me just guessing. I don't know. It could be now the armor castle 150 back then. Well, yeah, $150 was still a lot back in the 90s. Also, eBay, it was worth 500, but the thing had, of course. That's how things go when you're selling eBay. It was owned by someone, of course, then they go for a lot more money than, say, just one that's out there, right? But back to what I was saying here, I'm guessing that the battle line may get changed up a bit depending on what detachment you take, right? Because you're going to be taking, you're trying to do a Blood Angels army and you want lots of Sanguinary Guard or whatever the new unit will be for them, right? Or you want lots of, I don't know, whatever. You're limiting that to 3 data sheets. May not be cool if they become battle line, depending on the attachment. Apparently, characters are also going to dictate stuff. And then you select your Warlord key trait, and they have enhancements now. So that's cool. That's what they said. You can have enhancements as opposed to, it says each character only have one enhancement, and you can't include more than 3 enhancements total, and these all must be different. So it sounds like relics, new cards. Yeah, I was gonna get that. The cards I think are gonna help. Like I said, I think it's if you're bringing, if you're playing a small game and you're bringing, say, a few intercessor squads, and then you're going to bring an assault intercessor squad and maybe the new Terminators, that new Dreadnought, and you want to use that new librarian character. You only have to bring those cards and that information. You don't have to flip through your whole book. Go, okay, well, I got HQ and Elite. It's all right in front of you. Very simple. I think it's going to pare down what you need to bring. I mean, I'll bring everything anyways, but it'll be nice to just use what I need to use and not what else. I don't know, this new 40K stuff, I think, is going to, the new rules and all, I think it's going to make things a lot more, it's just going to make things simpler in the long run, I think, which cannot in any way, shape, or hurt anybody. Where'd the rest of it go? Just trying to see. I had a bunch of stuff and then it all closed on me. Well, yeah, what else they got here? They, come on, stop being difficult, computer. I'm still learning how to use this guy's stuff. I apologize. But yeah, so, I mean, there's just a whole bunch of different things here. I'm just looking at the stuff that they've got here, the Q&A. Obviously, certain things are going to disappear. I feel kind of bad for those people who have picked up, and I'm looking at Mythos on this one, the Guard Codex, or people who picked up the board action. You only get one enhancement, probably the precursor system. Absolutely, yeah. The thing tick off of putting out Kickstarter, this should not be a thing. I don't think anybody's doing a Kickstarter for 40K, and they're a pretty big company. Yeah, no, I think that the enhancement was a precursor to the system. I think it's again, I think it's paring things down, so you everything will be thrown into one, whether it's a relic or a warlord trait or something. It's enhancement now. And like the ones in the boarding access is pretty cool, like having your own specialized weapon without actually having a named weapon to it, right? It's that character's favorite weapon. And it works because every character is going to have their preferred weapon, whether you're a Chaos Lord or an Orc War Boss, right? So that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I think in the long run, this will speed things up, make games a bit more accessible. And the fact that a lot of it is free right off the get-go will help. But I do feel bad. I remember going back to my Games Workshop days, when we knew something was changing, we always, I won't say everyone did it. We did it in my store. We'd be like, so someone came out, oh man, I really want to play Lizardmen, right? And we go, hey man, you want to hold off like it was hard sometimes. Hey, you want to hold off like a month because we're getting a brand new Lizardmen book next month, brand new army. So you buy this one now, you're going to have to buy a new one in like a month anyways. And, more often than not, the parents are like, oh, really? Oh, thank you so much. And, we know what units. It changed later on when they started being really tight-lipped of everything Games Workshop. But we originally knew what was coming in the new book well in advance. So we'd be like, yeah, man, these units are still going to be there. These units are still going to be there. These are the old standbys. These are the ones you're going to need anyways. Pick those up. But don't get the book right now until next month or whatever. And that was always something like doing, because it you don't want someone to spend a ton of money. And I think, Games Workshop is, like I've said many times, it's in the business of making money, but how they make that money is kind of an important thing. But I'm getting off topic here. I don't know. I think, like I said, I'm glad it's free. I'm glad the rules, the basic rules, are going to be free. I'm glad that you're going to get all these indexes to print out, and apparently a very affordable data slates, data cards, I guess that we can call them now, are going to be very affordable. So that being said, I'm still probably going to pick up the codex anyways. I think you're going to have to, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. But I'm hoping that they go back to that format of here's a Blood Angels Codex, here's a Space Wolf Codex, here's a Dark Angels Codex, here's, that way it's not having to pick up 2 or 3 books. I think Games Workshop realized they kind of pushed that about as far as they can take it. And I mean, people were still buying it, but I think because people felt like they had to buy it. Again, just because of the way the meta goes nowadays, I think some people feel like they have to buy every single book so their army stay competitive, right? I went to a store and know about the new edition, and then told player just what the new edition come out, I think 3rd to 4th. Yeah, that's what we did back in the day. If someone was like, man, I want to pick up a starter set, we'd be like, as much as I'd love to sell you that starter set right now, a new one's coming. And back in the day, there was what am I painting? I am painting one of the Gear Guts Odd Bruisers. Mythos actually got this for me. I was sent, it was a wonderful Christmas gift from Mythos. So I'm painting it up. And I'm just doing skin tones right now. It's hard to tell right now. My lighting is horrible. I got to get new lighting. But I'm just working on, I've already got like a base green, a dark green in there, and I'm working on building up the skin tones. It's hard to see on that shoulder there. But yeah, thought, why not? He's huge. And welcome, Mr. Hellchild. How are you today? But we're going to get this. Yeah, we always liked helping people out, getting them, making sure people weren't spending money they didn't have to spend because they didn't know something was changing. I always hated that. I'm tired. You're tired, man. Why are you tired? Busy day at work? I know how that feels. But sit back, relax. Let the dulcet tones of my voice sing you off to your sleep slumber, or, terrify you and keep you awake forever. Either way, I'm good with it. But yeah, I'm just trying to get these flesh tones in here. I did finish those aggressors, which makes me happy. Finished them on the last day, chasing my 9-year-old. Hellchild is always working. Yes, I've seen that. Yeah, chasing your 9-year-old, man, that's nothing better than chasing your kids around. It is the greatest feeling in the world. I had family over, and I was lifting my young ones there, upside down, tickling. There's laughter everywhere. It's the best sound in the world, without exception. Tell them I said hi. Aw. But yeah, no, like I said, I got the aggressors done yesterday, so the last day of March. So the March and McCraig ended on a high note with 3 aggressors done. It was felt like a weight came off of me because I had those guys for years now, and I'm glad to have them done. Next up is going to be Hellblasters. Again, another gift from Mythos. So they're going to get done too. Just a standard unit of 5 Hellblasters, and I have some Reavers to do. A Reaver Lieutenant, Ventress, plus a very, very special model I'm not talking about yet because I'm saving it as my reward for getting through all my other Marines. I talked about a video there where it's time to get my Marines updated for the now. As much as I think at this point we're going to see as much as I think we're going to see a lot of units stay around, I just don't know for how much longer. And I'd rather have my army updated now, and then instead of going a year or 2 or 3 years from now, when inevitably I think we will see the old school firstborn units disappear, I think. How does it feel to be sexiest man in Canada? As voted by People Magazine. Unfortunately, as I appreciate that, but we actually took a referendum vote, and Ryan Reynolds will forever be known as the sexiest man in Canada forever, in perpetuity. So even 1,000 years from now, if there's a vote on who's the sexiest person in Canada, it will always be Ryan Reynolds. Always, it's forever. Um, so I had to hand over my crown and scepter to him and say, "Congratulations, you are now and forever the sexiest person in Canada." Um, just the way it is now. I mean, it is a little unfair, but when the people vote, you got to go with it. You gotta. I'd like to agree with you on that. The Terminators, again, what they've done with them, which I like, is they said that a Terminator armor isn't a firstborn, or it's in anything. Any a Primaris or a firstborn can be a Terminator. The suit's probably just modified a little bit for them. Again, they've made them bigger, obviously, and I think, which I really do like, they are bigger, and they've made the proportions a bit better. But I think in the long run, I think things like tactical squads may go away. We only know that we're getting Termagants in the new set, the new Steiger set. We know we're getting Terminators. But there was a whole bunch of other stuff in there. All the first one. Well, yeah, that's a thing. They can and they can't. Because the way tactical squads worked in the Horseheresy are different now, and they're not the same size. And you will get people, if they start doing them, you will get people upset with with continuity. Certain armor sets were not present during the heresy that are now, well, in the 40K. So I don't know. I like to you could probably put. Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, a Terminator's a Terminator. They're not going to be like, oh, sorry, Stu, you're firstborn. You can't be Terminator. Or no, that was the one thing I didn't think they'd ever fully get rid of Terminators because of the importance they've always put on that armor and the history behind it. The fact that each one is supposed to have a piece of the Emperor's armor in the Crux Terminatus. That's a pretty big thing to all of a sudden just go, yeah, we don't need this anymore. Let's get rid of those. Yeah. Yeah, Damie K, you had it too good. We Fairly Odd Parent. Yeah, we had and then Red Green Show. Yeah, that's Canada for you. We always have the best shows. We just have the weirdest shows. There's some shows I don't think would have been made elsewhere in the world that were made here. You just kind of looked at them going, we actually made that? Why did we make that? Right? And I don't think we'll ever truly live down the fact that we gave the world Justin Bieber. I think at some point that could be considered in some places a war crime. I don't know. It's one of the shames I have to live with every day being Canadian, going, oh God, we gave the world Justin Bieber. Why? Oh God, why? Yeah. Yeah. No, but it's all good now. I'm hoping they don't get rid of the firstborns either. That being said, I mean, like I was saying, we know we're getting Terminators. We know we're getting Termagants. All the other things in those video, whether it looks like we're at some point we're going to get a new Terminator librarian. We're going to get some sort of new apothecary. He's wearing a different type of armor. It wasn't Terminator armor, but he wasn't apothecary like the Primaris apothecary of now. He had almost like Gravis armor. So we could be getting a thicker, chonkier, but not Terminator chonky apothecary. There was another. There was that new Dreadnought that has the old school las cannon, like twin link las cannon missile launcher body to it. Obviously, it's going to be on the newer chassis, but obviously giving Dreadnoughts a new option. Yes, the Gravis armor, yeah. And then, of course, there was a bunch of different things. There was another looked like a Reaver lieutenant maybe, or a Phobos lieutenant there. He's whipping through the gaunts with his this combat blade. So we could be seeing a new version of him. And of course, all those Space Marines running around with "Stop calling me chunky. You are chunky. We love you for it, Mr. Mythos. You chunky, lovable bugger. You. Everybody here loves you. You know it. So stop it. You're not chunky. We love you." But there was ones there that had looked like just had flamers, like the Black Templar, the new Crusader squad's got. We could be looking at a specialized unit of just some flamers. There was ones that looked like they had the Phobos armor on that had a whole bunch of combi weapons. A combi weapon flamer, combi weapon. There was one that had a combi weapon that was a bolter rifle, or I'm assuming it was an auto bolt rifle, just the rate of fire. It had the auto bolt rifle magazine in it on the top, and a flamer one had a melt-a-gun. So we could be seeing a new form of troop choice in them. Just a whole bunch of combi weapons, flamers, and auto bolt rifles would be perfect for taking on hordes of Tyranids. Just the amount of shots you can put out with that. I want to be said because it looks so cool, but I almost never take flamers. Take some flamers, man. Flamers are awesome. They've always been awesome. Even when they weren't awesome, they're awesome. Just because the amount of hits you can put out, auto hits you can put out. And then obviously we saw what looked like to be maybe some sort of new version of the Screamer Killer Carnifex. And it was different too because it looked like it was streamlined. This wasn't the same big, bulky Carnifex. They definitely look old school veteran, just Premier size. Yeah, maybe we could be looking at a new veteran unit. I was on one of the Facebook groups there, and their idea so that could be. This is definitely wish listing, but it looked like people were saying that it could be the new version of the Tyranid War Veterans, right? It's I saw the RC Land Raider with the real flamer. That I want that. Don't think Games Workshop can sell that though. I know someone built that, but it'd be cool. Like nice Games Workshop commercial coming on, going, "Now you can get your Land Raider with real flamers. Look, Ma, I set fire to the drapes. Tommy, no." Yeah, it could be your replacement for Sterngard. But yeah, I heard it could be that or like the new version of Tyranid War Veterans. Although I doubt it'll be a new version of Tyranid War Veterans that's very army specific, and they're going to want these Marines to be used by anybody. So I would assume it's either a new troop choice that's just built to fight Tyranids. So lots of auto bolt rifles, very sneaky. With the Phobos armor, able to sneak around, but obviously be able to put out the damage output, the hit output that you need to take on Tyranids, because a lot of units just don't have it. When you have a 30 unit or 20 gaunt unit rushing up at you, and it doesn't matter if you have a unit of interceptors or bolter rifles or auto bolt rifles, you just don't have the proper firepower. But we'll see. Like I said, there was that Screamer Killer Carnifex that looked different. Again, streamlined. Right, it had the bioplasm vomit. It had the big giant claws, but this was not your normal Carnifex. This thing is a Carnifex evolved. Obviously, it looks much faster, much more deadly, which is good. I mean, that's one of the big things about the Tyranids, is that they were consistently supposed to be evolving and learning from each interaction and each planet they absorb. They take in the information from the bodies, and they evolve. They learn, right? There's hopefully with this new threat, and we'll see a bit more. I for one would love to see a bit more on the supposed malevolent intelligence behind the Tyranid. That was a big thing back in 4th edition. One of the big things they said that Tigurius could do. It's like he had actually tapped right into the consciousness behind the Tyranid, and he felt just a seething malevolence. Right, this was not just bugs going out and doing what creatures do, eating and evolving. There was a consciousness behind it. So hopefully we'll see that. We'll get to learn a bit more about that. Right, we'll see what happens with them, and maybe this will also mean things like the gene stealer cults will get will become changed as well. I mean, they're a newer army, so I don't think we'll see too many changes, but who knows what the future is going to bring. And of course, the other one was those floating. I want to say they're like zoanthropes, but they were more than a zoanthrope. These things weren't like floating down on the big tail. They were really floating. These big psychic powers, tentacles everywhere. So obviously, something of the hive mind has evolved even more to be even more deadly, even more powerful. And obviously, the other thing is depending on where the story goes, knowing that we're going to see Space Marines fighting Tyranids on the other side of the galaxy. So a lot of it was on the Eastern Fringe, Ultramar, and all those big campaigns and up and all down there, and obviously all the stuff happening in the northern part, with Ball and the Rock and all that stuff. There's been a big chunk of it. Hello, sir. Welcome. There's a big chunk of it that's been it's always been slightly ignored in the southwestern chunk of space where nothing really apparently happens, right? It's on the light side of the Imperium, but it's not a lot goes on there. I mean, there's Guard and Space Marine down there, but the last big thing I think that happened there was the Macarian Crusade, and that was a long time ago. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, it's cool to see it going down. It's cool to see more of the Hive fleet coming in, and it'll be cool to see what evolutions they bring with it, what changes it brings. But I definitely want to see more of what's going on behind the Hive fleets, whatever's controlling them and sending them to the galaxy. Because that's definitely one of those things that was touched upon, and over the years, like everything, stories change and they evolve and they get retconned. But I'd like to see it. Obviously, there's also, the Silent King saw a bunch of stuff, and that made him cancel his self-imposed exile. Go, oh crap! I gotta wake all my boys up and deal with this like now, or we'll never find a way to get our bodies back, right? So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I've been, well, hey, Mythos, drive safely, my friend. Okay. I don't know where you are right now, but please drive safely. Okay, my friend. And thank you for listening. But if you have to, man, turn me off. That way you can concentrate on the road. I don't know what time it is wherever you are, but be safe. But obviously things change. I'm excited to see what the new fluff. I've been reading a lot of the fluff, hearing all the stuff about the latest book with Farsight possibly being a demon, sort of, but not, and the fact that it took the orcs to save everybody, which I think is hilarious and absolutely the perfect way to have a book go. So without the I guess spoiler, but apparently in the new book, Battle Scribe Mob Peter, free and great resources for any Bala on a bud. That's true. They're great. We'll see how much longer Wahapedi is around. Simply because it's Russian. I believe it's Russian at its core. So we'll see how much longer that's around before it's blocked out by everybody with all the stuff going on. But the new book, the Farsight book for the Arcs of Omen, it takes it back to the Arlos Moloch. I think that's what it's called, the planet, and where he first picked up his magical sword of I kill stuff and steal their souls, but I don't know I'm doing it. That's why I'm so long-lived. he's fighting chaos. Obviously, Vashdor's got his fleets out there. The Bale fleet arrives. He's in the middle fighting orcs. The War of Dhaka, basically, which is just a massive arms race. The orcs and the Tyranid, or the orcs and the tower just trying to outdo each other with weapons. Just realized that I was spawning stuff 15 minutes behind the chat. That's okay, Mifas. Just, man, drive. Be safe, okay? And eventually the planet they're fighting on gets hit by Bale fleet. They have to retreat until they get to Arthas Moloch, or Arthlas, I can't remember. And he ends up summoning demons. Not a good thing. A lot of people are assuming that he may turn to Khorne. He has his team called the 8, and 8 is the number of Khorne. He hates ethereals, and ethereals are about as psychic as Tau get. How they control them has always been sort of hinted at being more of a pheromone control thing than actually like a psychic power. But he still hates them. He's summoning demons, and eventually it's the orcs that have to smash the this big, I guess it's an 8-pointed, or this big ancient, possibly chaos altar. They're the ones who smash it, and that drives these new demons off, and the Tau get the hell out of there and leave the planet to this big battle between the orcs and chaos. What chaos wanted, what part of this area had whatever they needed for this big key, I don't know. It's that I don't know. I haven't picked up the book yet, but we'll see. It was cool to read that fluff, though. I think in the long run, obviously, if Space Marines are fighting somewhere else against a Tyranid, and the video still has Gulliman, kneeling in front of this giant, one of the giant Eternity Gates. I think that's the Eternity Gates. One of the ones, the gates that goes up to where the Emperor is. You see all the banners. There's one for Baal there, and the fact that he's still there. Obviously, Abaddon and Vashdor aren't going to get everything they wanted. They may end up getting some of what they want. Obviously, there's going to be lots of destruction, lots of chaos being thrown everywhere, armies destroyed, planets wrecked. Whole swaths of sisters and guardsmen and Space Marines being turned to chaos in the Angron book. Just lots. Everything's getting destabilized. Everything's going to get worse. But I don't think we're going to see Abaddon getting what he wants. He's probably not going to make it to Terra, and Vashdor is probably not going to become a Chaos God. Because it wouldn't make sense for them to make a Vashdor model, then all of a sudden, hey, he's here for a little while, then poof, oh, he's a Chaos God, so he's kind of taken off the board. And, hopefully, oh, hey, you got them all, we can't use anymore. Not a smart move on Games Workshop's part, if that's what they were doing. So obviously that's not going to happen. Other bad stuff will happen. But I do like the fact that it's almost like the way they're describing the Tyranid coming up. It's almost like Jaws, this massive set of Jaws that's about to snap on the galaxy. Again, probably won't happen, but it's cool the fact that they're now coming up from below, and one side here, and it's starting getting blunted, but now all of a sudden they have this other side that can just and smash down and just annihilate everything. Again, probably won't happen. I don't see them doing an end time anytime soon, at least not in the way they did with Aegis, going for fantasy and Age of Sigmar, where they blew the planet away and sort of rebuilt. I do see an end game eventually for 40K in terms of, do I get the Lion or do I get Pesh Russ? Let's get the Lion, man. Russ is going to have his own look, and it won't look anything like the Lion. I think if they're smart, they'll make them kind of what they did with Gulliman and Abaddon. If you put the two models side by side, they look like they're actually having a fight. They have opposite hands with their, the talons of Horus is on his right hand. and the Hand of Dominion is on Guilliman's right hand or left hand, right? So they're actually look like they're opposed to each other. There might be something the same with the Lion and Russ. The Lion, the way he is with the sword down the side, he looks like he's marching up to fight someone. I wasn't using Lion. Okay, cool. Get the Lion. Get the Lion. He looks cool. But Russ, oh God, I don't even know what they're going to do with Russ or what he's going to look like. What is a guy who's been in the warp for 10,000 years looking for a cure for the Emperor look like once he comes out, right? So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm interested to see what they do with, obviously, with them bringing the Lion in. It opens up a whole bunch of other questions of who's next, right? A lot of people are going to ask who's next, especially if you haven't got your Primarch yet. Some of us have been lucky enough to have had our Primarch for a while, but we'll see. We'll see what right. I mean, there's some there that are going to take. It's going to take some creative, like some highly creative shenanigans to bring them back. Like, how do you bring Sanguinius back? How do you bring Ferrus Manus back? Right? How do you bring, like, what happened to Dorn? Did he actually die? No, you know. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff there. What happened to the Night Haunter? Did he actually get killed by an assassin, or was that just the ultimate trick to just take himself off the board and maybe be free from the life he was basically forced into? He didn't really want to be the Night Haunter, but plus with all his emotional and mental problems and all that. Dude, I don't know where to go with that. Things not to say if the cop stops you. Why are we talking about that? Don't antagonize police, man. Come on. That's not cool. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go, right? Is there, will we see? Do you think we'll see? Do you think we're gonna, like, what do you do with someone like Lorgar, right? Will we see him again? Probably eventually. But there's so many questions. Who's going to be next? Who's going to pop up next? Who's going to be the next? God, I hope it's Loyalist. Hopefully, it'll be a Loyalist, sort of even up the numbers a bit, because Angron's, that's a lot of power in that guy. Obviously, things will change with the new edition, but that's just a lot of power. Angron's nuts, which he should be. He's Angron. He was crazy before he became a demon Primarch. So I can only imagine just how over the top he is, just being a big ball of unending rage. So I'm working on the face now, trying to get that layer of this lighter layer of green on there. Just trying to hit up places. The fun part of this is one of the reasons why I do this. I can sort of force myself to paint now, which is important because I don't paint enough and I need to paint more. I want to get stuff done. I'm tired of having a yeah, no, dude, that's yeah, no. Can we not talk about that? Come on, man. But I don't know. I'm hoping. See, I don't remember what I was saying now. Yeah, painting. I'm wanting to get stuff done, and I don't do enough painting on my own. God, like the last little while up until starting these, I used more of my super glue I purchased on fixing my kids' toys than actually, putting them all together. But yeah, so it's time to get my own stuff painted. This is going to be for a competition. Hopefully I I can muster up to what other people are doing. We'll see when it's all said and done. God, it's been a while since I painted orc too. It's fun. How fun it was to paint orcs. So that's the green done up to a point, and now I'm actually going to use moot green to do the most extreme highlights. That's one of the ways that I learned. I learned this. I learned this doing 50. It was a 50 Moria goblins. One of the very first things I did at Games Workshop was painting up lots and lots and lots and lots of goblins. Just give me a second here. Just trying to see what I can do here. Anyway, no, but it's this has been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to do more of these, and I'm really appreciative of you guys hopping on here and participating in these. It's not always easy to do these. As I'm learning, I have to put a little more prep into them. So why did here, Hellchild, I got a question for you. Why do you want to kit bash Russ? What were you going to use to kit bash to make Russ? Right? Because that's a big question. Who would you use to start off with the basis of Russ? That's my question to you. What would you use as a basis for Russ? He's got his own set of armor, similar to, although they did a good job of making the lion look very much different from Gulliman, right? These are always great. These videos, these lives, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun doing them. It's great to talk to you guys, well, chat with you guys, I guess, a bit more regularly than just responding to comments on my other videos. Just gonna try and highlight up a bit here. Had them anyway back in the day. Oh, are you talking about the old Lehman Russ model? So they did have a model. It is one of my big regrets that I did not pick it up when I could have. Of course, it was nowhere near the size of what Primarchs look like now. It was Lehman Russ. Dude, let's face it, that model looked like the old Ragnar Blackmane model, and yet it had the two wolves. It had Freki and Geki, his two wolves, which then of course became the name of the two wolves that Ragnar had. But yeah, he looked like Ragnar, right? Yeah. I'm G and M. What do you want, man? You're G and you're in? Is that what you're trying to say? But yeah, I was one of those models I probably should have picked up back in the day, and I didn't. I mean, it was very small, but it was cool to see Lehman Russ be represented. I don't know if he had any rules. It was a model that came out, I think, 2nd edition, and I can't even remember if it was a specialized unit or anything like that. But it had its place. Someone finishes the line. So right now, I'm just trying to hit all my really high points with some of this. Get a nice little skin tone going there. I want certain parts to pop. You guys know this. Go up, box to ya. What's it on? Wogs up. I don't know, man. What's up with you? I am busy trying to get an orc painted up for your little contest, my friend. Or this is the call it a weird boy, but it's actually one of the Gear Guts Odd Bruisers. That's going to be my my little addition to your contest. I've got or challenge, I should say. Just trying to get skin done now to the best of my ability, and then we're gonna work on all the other fetishes and accoutrements and the nice big staff. Trying to figure out how I want that staff to look. If I want to go for some crazy check marks or not, and right. Trying to decide. He's got looks like he's got a skull on top of there, so I'm gonna have to decide whether I want that to be a metal skull or actually go for like a bone color and all the other stuff. He's got lots of little locks and chains on him, so there's lots to do here. So this is my going to be my project for the next little while on these live streams. So you guys will be able to follow along. Always like the bone. It does bone on these guys does make them look a little bit creepier, doesn't it? Which is good. Orcs should have. I don't know if I say orcs should be creepy, but orcs should definitely be. How do I explain it? Orcs are weird that way. Orcs never really came off to me as being creepy. I think I worked the guy who said orc humor orcs work best in this way. Yeah, voodoo tribal. Yeah, orcs work best is if you hear about an old man falling down the stairs. Party goes, oh, that's horrible. That's the way orcs are. You should look. Orcs go. Orc just like he just threw his axe in the air and it did like a quadruple flip and then landed on the guy's head and cut him in half because it's a big chunk of metal. But then if you actually think about that, like a guy being cut in half by a giant axe or old man falling down the stairs, you're like, oh, that's horrifying. And that's how orcs should be. They should be horrifying in their ferocity and their general, not caring about the, except of course, they really cared about Yarrick. Yeah. Orcs are the jokers for 40K. Absolutely, they are. They are. Well, yes and no, because there's other species out there that are just as bad. Orcs, I guess they could be Joker. Joker's always straightforward, yeah. They're always a bit straightforward in the fact that they just want a good fight and you better give it to them. And their whole, we're never beat. We always come back for another go, and orcs is best and all that. But it's actually funny. I saw a YouTube short where someone was talking about the Tau and how they're kind of about the closest you can get to being good guys in 40K. I took exception to that because, of course, we all know the Emperor is the goodest of all good guys, and the Imperium, without question, is the bestest of all bests. With that being said, it brought into question there really aren't good in 40K is very much subjective. I think all the races think they're good or they just don't care. But Tau, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I saw another one said basically everybody in 40K is racist, and it's true. Everyone's out for their own species and was trying to wipe out the rest. But that's the parody of 40K, right? They said the Tau are the good guys, and I had to mention to him, like, dude, if you actually read anything that comes with the Tau, is they are especially the ethereals. It's usually the ethereals that are doing this, but they have no problem wiping out whole species if the species says no to their advances about joining their greater good. And even if a species does say yes, there's still the off chance that the ethereals will still do everything they can to wipe them out. And there's been a few instances in the last little while, the Psyche Awakening book, where the Tau were fighting alongside some of their human helpers, and they just started wiping out. Said the planet must be cleansed. So they are like a cult. Well, what do you expect, right? But they were wiping out everything. It wasn't Tau. The planet had to be cleansed, which in some ways is a very imperial way of thinking. It has to be cleansed in the name of, instead of the Emperor, it's the ethereals, right? But there's other ones especially back in third and fourth when they were being a little bit sneakier with making the Tau seem like everybody else, where there was fluff stories about how the Tau took over this once imperial world. The people were like, "Oh, our saviors! I don't have to work 24 hours a day, and the planet will be better. We'll be better." And I think within I think it was a couple generations, all the humans were dead on the planet. And these are planets that this is a human world, an imperial world that had opened up with open arms. They said, "Yes, please save us from this uncaring, unloving Imperium. Save us. We're not going to pick up a fight here. It's all our weapons. We don't care." And they were killed by a virus, this mysterious, unsolvable disease. It was spreading down humans, and they don't know why. And all the Tau are like, "Wow, this is really bad. All these human people are dying." And basically, it was a genetic genocide. The Tau had released not the Tau. The Ethereals have released a virus that only targeted humans, and within 50 years, all the humans were gone. And the Tau had, within 50 years, had a planet that was all theirs. Everything was set up. The humans, while they were dying, were still helping the Tau build. They were still trying to build a society. So they had a whole planet completely theirs, and they didn't even have to fire a weapon. Right? All they did is just introduce that. Yeah, Dawn of War. Yeah, they said in Dawn of War too. I remember that. And one of the Dawn of War, I think I can't remember which one. The one with the Tau join in. The Tau and if you win with the Tau, the planet's like, "Yay, go Tau, we love you guys," and then all the humans mysteriously die. So, and again, I don't think Tau society knows that they're doing it. But definitely the Ethereals know, and probably the Fire Warriors and any of the other casts out there that actually have, day-to-day contact probably know what's going on. It would make sense that they do, because it has to be administered somehow. And whether you're getting your fire warding units to come in or your fire cast people to come in and introduce it, or it's being put in some other way, they basically have absolutely zero problem with genocide, which is that's 40K for you. It's the Dark Millennium. There is no peace. There's no understanding. There's no hope. There's only war. So to continue that on like that makes perfect sense to me, and it shows that no one is really good, 100% good. It's not like Star Trek where you can kind of point and go, "Yeah, those are the good guys and those are the bad guys," because everyone's out for themselves, and they would kill you if they have to. Which is why I find it weird when people start trying to take 40K's way of thinking and put some actual nowadays context to it. Weird. Camping guy says the Tau wins, the humans. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't end well. I think it's when you win the big campaign. I think it's if you crush the guard or whatever, you get that particular ending. Well, it might be the same ending regardless. I don't know. I always took Space Marines and whooped everyone's butts in that game because, I got to back up my Marines. I'm playing them for long enough. And if you can find the old Dawn War stuff, get it. Dawn War 2 wasn't the same. Dawn War, the original Dawn War was where it was at. So what is everybody else working on? I'm blabbing on about what I'm working on. What are you guys working on nowadays? What's your thing? Oh, it's been so good. I'm so happy with this. Gotta get the mods. No, you don't need the mods, man. The mods are okay, I guess. Don't want to change the game up too much. A little bit of green there, and a little bit of green there. Oh, that's looking good. I am happy with that. There you go. So hopefully you guys can see it a bit better now. But the face is now, the skin is done. Grot killer cans, nice. Yes, I saw that. Folks, they're looking cool, man. Looking cool. Speaking of video games, I've been actually playing a ton of Final Fantasy 14 still because I finally made it to Heaven's Ward. Then that was like the next add-on after the main game, which is finally made it there. And I'm playing a ton of Chrono Cross because I love that game. I'm trying to find the. I was just working on a bag of chips. Hey man, to each his own, man. How do you paint up a bag of chips? No, but I'm playing a ton of Chrono Cross. That's been fun. It's a good game. I got the Radical Dreamers edition, so with all the new graphics and some added stuff to it, it's still the same cool game though, which has been a lot of fun. Getting that. I've only painted the roof of my mouth, and there you go. I'm only just started that game though, so it's going to be a while before I get that done. So now, this is the fun part. Oh, excuse me, Joe. It's getting late here. Tongues. For you orc players, what color would I use for a tongue? I don't paint many tongues when you paint Space Marines because everybody's either wearing helmets or they're yelling, but you don't see anything behind the teeth. So what should I paint? You're going to be tweaking your cans, man. Hey, whoa. I don't want to know what you're doing in your cans, okay, man? That's a personal information. Thank you. I'm glad you feel comfortable enough to share it. Okay. All right, we got Mythos working on his cans. You're tweaking your cans. Everybody's got their cans out. I'm feeling a lift out here. Maybe I'll have to get some cans. You know, I can say, hey, buddy, look at my cans, and people are like, ooh, I want to see your cans, man. Could do a red for that tongue. I don't know. Cans out for the boys, better than knobs out. That's true. Yeah, man. That was always rude. I always had people play orcs going, okay, I'm gonna get my knobs out. It's like, you got more than one? Gee, that's how you want to play it. Okay. I'm definitely gonna make the eyes red. I start red, mix in white, and move up to pink. That could be good. Yeah. It's not a big tongue, but yeah, and the eyes are definitely gonna be red. I'm gonna stick to red for the eyes. I did have somewhere in here, I can find it. There's so many paints on this thing. Nope. Where did it go? Where did it go? I'll find it. I know I have a purple wash in here somewhere that I can use. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Dark red or Screamer pink. No pink in 40K, man. No pink in 40K. Have you seen Slanesh? That's like, it's purple and pink. It's lots of purple and pink, right? If your demon is trying to eviscerate you with its giant lobster claws, I'm not going to argue whether it's wearing purple or pink. It's basically, I mean, these you read reptiles, birds, mammals, I don't have the same color mouths, tongues. True enough. Ooh, excuse me. Well, it's been a long day here, but I want to do this. I'm trying to get this done up. I may have to do the teeth first. I don't know. The tongue is in a weird position where it's actually sitting. I don't know if you can see that well enough. It's hard to see there. The tongue is actually sitting. Keep it simple. That's true. Is actually sitting on some teeth. So I might do the tongue first. I don't know. I've got. Where did it go? I've got to find it in this mess of paints. So many paints. Morty and blue. I have lots of blues. Isn't that weird? Lots of blues. I wonder why that happened. Do have some ball red. So if I went with like a red, highlighted up a bit, that might work. Yeah, do mouth and teeth work from inside out? Yeah. I'm gonna get that tongue done. I think I may go for a red. I'll start with some Festin red. Go from there. I'll shake that up. Yeah, no, it's just fun. It's nice to take a break. It's nice to get those Marines done, those aggressors done, but it's nice to cleanse the palate with something a bit different and go from there. just like discussing earlier, the 10th, the prospect of a simpler, more simplified but not simple game, that seems to be their model for this, has got me excited again. Cans are different. Yeah, it is different. You go from painting lots of green to painting lots of metal, especially on the cans. There's a lot in there. But 10th has got me cautiously optimistic in terms of what we might see. I'm hoping without so many rules and so many stratagems and army books everywhere, it may end up making the game a bit more fun for everybody, because I think a lot of what people are chasing right now when they build their armies is not just building an army for fun, but an army that wins. And trying to meld with the meta instead of just building a fun army, which I mean is fine. 40K has definitely gotten very, very competitive compared to years ago. I mean, it's always been a bit competitive, but I'm hoping that this will still allow it to be competitive, but at the same time, not people dumping an army every month or so when a new one comes out. I've seen that so many times. People like, oh, this is the army to win with. This is the army. This is the meta, and it is for a week, 2 weeks, a month. Now we've seen many times where a new army comes out with some amazing stuff, and an FAQ a month later nerfs it or changes it. And I mean, we went from having the Armor of Contempt for a while, now that's gone for Space Marines, right? So it's hopefully this will cut down on so many questions. Again, another thing with having so many rules is that there's so much more to exploit, right? And all it takes is this one rule that was designed a certain way being taken slightly different, right? Half of the time on local, they chase what's good to be, yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. It's fun for different people, but oh my lord, I many moons ago, I was in a gaming group, and we had one guy who every other week, it seemed, had a new army, right? And he would rotate through them, but it was hard to keep up because you didn't have access like you do now to have every single codex and every single, right? You couldn't just look up super quick how the rules of an army. So we kind of figured out quicker than, probably not as quick as we should have, that he was cheating all the time, because he would, one week he would bring this army, the next week he'd bring a different army, and then the week after that he'd bring a third army, and a fourth army, and a fifth army, and then it was hard to keep up with all the different armies that he was bringing out, right? So it was like, I'm just applying a little bit on these eyes and this tongue to make sure I get any grooves in it covered. And I'm going to put the Festin red back on. Lots of people have asked me to join tournaments. I've been in a few tournaments, and for the most part, say 75% of them have been good. Yeah, nothing cheaters. And bonus points from Ethos for using the guard swear. Fething is how guards say the F word in the future. So bravo everybody, a round of applause from Ethos. He's won a coveted no prize for doing that. Well done. I've seen tournaments, like I say, about 75% of tournaments I've been in, and I haven't been a lot, have been good. And then G comes in with an orc swear. So bravo, round of applause for you, sir. Well done. Another right. There's always cheaters, yeah. There's always cheaters. Most of the tournaments have been good. There's been a few times over the years, whether we were having tournaments at a Games Workshop store I worked at, or tournaments I got roped into being in because I worked at Games Workshop, or ones I entered on my own. Most of them have been pretty good. To me, most people just, they want to win, but they were there having fun. They were there, just they wanted to win, but they want to have fun and they want to have a fun time. I have seen some cheaters. Yes, there's been a few times where I clear remembers a bunch of times where we had to remove a guy from a tournament because he didn't bring a list. He was warned you have to bring a list, and he didn't. And so we kind of let him get away with it the first time. I said, "Listen, this is the list you're going to use from now on." And the next time we went in the next round, he was making a list. They said, "Okay, you're done. We told you to use that list. You had to," because he was building lists to fight particular armies, which you can't do. You're supposed to try to bring an army that sort of can take on anybody, and he was not doing that at all. So yeah, again, it was cheating. They do ruin it. I've seen the power gamers just crush people and don't care about anybody's fun other than their own. They want to win, and they don't really care about anybody else's sort of needs in that particular avenue. But hopefully, and one of the things, I guess, going back to what I said is lots and lots of rules means there's lots and lots of opportunity to manipulate and find ways around those rules, and that's I mean, again, that's part of the problem that I think a lot of game designers have to go through. How do I make this game fun? How to make it entertaining? But how do I also make sure that it doesn't get abused to hell? Right? Because you want your games to be fun. See Hobby Nightmares of good stories. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of those Hobby Nightmares. I could definitely fill in a large amount of Hobby Nightmares as well. I've seen a lot. I mean, and other times, there was one time the tournament was kind of spoiled because a kid was in it. And to say the kids can't play this game, they should. We want kids to play, but he was too young to be there. And every time he got beat, which was every time he played, he would cry. So obviously not emotionally mature enough to be at an event like that. You kind of want to make sure, you want to make sure you're mature enough to be in a situation like that. That's another little thing. Ooh, this is gonna be nice. So I'm working on this tongue now. That's right, I'm working on orc tongue. How can you say that, huh? What did you do last night, honey? Oh, I was working on some orc tongue. Yeah. And then your wife wants a divorce. No. But yeah, actually, I was trying to figure out how to do a poll. I mentioned to my wife the other night that I was cheap and easy, and she went, "Yeah." And there was a really long silence, but I still love you. So here, guys, just put it in here. Am I cheap? Am I easy? Or am I cheap and easy? Or am I not? I want to know from you guys. Am I cheap and easy? I don't know. I want you guys to tell me. Am I cheap and easy? Or am I I don't know. What do you guys think? He asked for more stories. Yes, I'll tell my own stories. Thank you very much. So what I'm going to do now is get a little bit of white. Yes, for both. Well, thank you. I knew it. Try to tell people I'm not cheap and easy. What am I going to do? Just trying to figure this out here. I want to make these eyes pop a little bit more. There you go. So that's the eyes done with some red and the tongue. Rich and difficult. That's me. I'm rich. I wish it was rich and difficult. I unfortunately just get to be cheap and easy, I guess. I guess that's the worst is cheap and difficult would probably be the worst. So if you're rich and difficult, at least you're still rich. If you're cheap and easy, at least you're cheap and easy. But if you're cheap and difficult, that's a whole other problem. I think people really got to take a look at you. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, he asked me stories. I will definitely be keeping my stories for my own. I'm not gonna because they're my stories. They happen to me, not somebody else. And oh, do I have stories? All right, so what I'm gonna do right now for these eyes is just put a little right there, pinprick of white. Oh, that looks good. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's sexy. I am in love with myself right now. I shouldn't be, but I am. Okay. So all I did is I took just the tiniest bit of Wraithbone, it's a base, and then I don't know if you can see it. I know my lighting is horrible. I just put a little pinprick of white on the eyes just to make them stand out. This guy is supposed to be crackling with some sort of, orc wall energy. So yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Well, I think, guys, I'm going to end it there. It is 11:30 here. As always, thank you very much for being here, for watching. I hope it's entertaining for you guys. Please, if you want, once this goes up, or if you want to email me, so let me know what I can improve, what else you'd like to see. That's how I get better, right? I'm always open to with some constructive criticism. And I can go from there. But as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you. I'm glad you're able to catch on here, and you'll definitely see it. I'll put it up when it gets all done. There's still lots of details to go to, and but as always, keep rolling those dice, guys. And I will see you later. Thank you very much. It's much appreciated, guys. Bye.